2-minute drill time Friday morning at 105.5 WDHA. It's Jim Monaghan and Chris Swendeman joining me again. And Chris, we are 1 week away from the NHL trade deadline, and both the Devils and Rangers could be in a position to make a move here.
It's going to be a very interesting week leading up to the trading deadline. I think the Rangers have to be really careful with what they do. And I think Chris Drury, their GM, knows that. They have a great chemistry going right now. You don't want to upset the balance of what's gotten you this far. They were the first team to 40 wins. They are really good. They're really a tight group. They have led by a great goaltender in Shesterkin. You don't want to mess with it, but they do need pieces. Where I think the Devils, let's face it, they need a goalie. And everybody knows it. So if Tom Fitzgerald, their GM, is going to get anything done, he's probably going to have to pay up because goalies don't grow on trees in the NHL, as we all know. But it seems very weird talking about the Devils right now and saying they need a goalie, considering they've had one of the greatest of all time in the organization. That's the face of the organization. And now we're talking about, the Devils need somebody, in the net. So it sounds a little weird still.
You go back to the Rangers for a second. You mentioned the first team to 40 wins, one of the top 3 or 4 teams in terms of record in the NHL. Meanwhile, the Devils with a winning record, but there's still a few points out of the playoff spot. You could see the Rangers saying, let's go all in. We've got a chance to do this for the first time in 30 years. And like you just said, the Devils need to be very, very careful, because what are you going to mortgage the future for when you're probably not going to get deep into the playoffs this year?
No, and whether it's at the deadline or in the offseason, the Devils need a goalie. They have bad injuries this year. They lost Hughes for a good amount of time. Jack Hughes, that is. They lost their top defenseman for a long period for the season. So maybe you get in, maybe you get lucky, and like last year, you win a round. But then, if you're out in the second round and you mortgage some of your youth, is it really worth it? And to be honest, Jim, I'll tell you this right now, the way the Devils look, they were 5-7 in January, 6-6 in the month of February. They need a coaching change. Wow. I do not believe Lindy Ruff is going to be there long-term. I think his coaching is starting to fall on deaf ears, and they may need a change to really get a boost to see what this team can do.
6 weeks left of the NHL regular season, and again, 1 week away from the trade deadline of next Friday. And that's the 2-minute drill for a Friday morning at 105.5 WDHA. Thanks, Chris.
You got it, Jim. Thanks a lot.